The 90s brought the Dallas Cowboys 3 Super Bowl wins. The 90s also produced the Triplets, Aikman, Emmett, Irvin. 2 decades later, America's team is back in the hunt for a title, and there's a new set of triplets, Dak, Dez, and Zeke. Can the new trio bring a Super Bowl title to Dallas? We'll discuss that and more now in your Silver Star Nation special report.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Wes Moore. 13 wins and counting. It's been a season to remember for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have won the East and clinched home field advantage. Joining us now from the Star in Frisco, our Cowboys insiders, Babe Laufenberg and Mickey Spagnola. And we have a lot to talk about over the next 30 minutes. There's a new set of triplets in Dallas. Let's start with the quarterback, Dak Prescott. The 13 wins ties Ben Roethlisberger for the most by a rookie quarterback. Babe, how have you seen Dak change through this season?
Gosh, probably one of the good things is you really almost haven't seen him change. He's been consistent throughout. Had a little bit of a bump in the road against Minnesota and the New York Giants. Happens to all quarterbacks, no matter how long they've been playing. But he has just impressed beyond belief, quite honestly. And to think that when Tony Romo and Kellen Moore, quarterbacks 1 and 2, went down in training camp, that this team would be sitting here at 13 and 2, with a rookie quarterback, a rookie 4th-round pick. It's nothing short of phenomenal.
Will he go down as the best 4th-round pick in Cowboys history?
Oh, I would think without a doubt he may be the best 4th-round pick already in Cowboys history, the way he's played as a rookie. And, you know, if you think about it, they tried to get several other quarterbacks before they settled on him. And remember, it's not just a 4th-round pick. If you look at it, it was kind of in the compensatory part of the 4th round. So that means all those compensatory picks were spent in the 3rd round, went through the entire 4th round, several compensatory picks for the Cowboys got to him. So it was really a 5th-round pick if you just looked at it as 1 through 32. This was really plucking one out. And then not only that, to end up settling on him, because after Tony Romo got hurt, Kellen Moore had gotten hurt, they're trying to sign Nick Foles, they're trying to trade for Josh McCown, and none of that stuff worked out, and they said, well, okay, let's just see what this guy can do. And now here we are, 13 and 2, going into the final game of the season.
Yeah, Mickey, he wasn't even the first 4th-round pick that the Cowboys had.
Right.
Yeah, he was their 2nd, 4th rounder, so quite remarkable.
Babe, how does Dak's skill sets compare to Troy's?
Oh, gosh. Now we're talking about a Hall of Famer. That's unfair to Dak. You know, certainly a better runner. I was here for Troy Aikman's rookie year, and Troy was actually a pretty good runner early on, but he took a heck of a beating early on as well, so he decided, you know, it's a little bit safer in that pocket than it is to get out of that. But, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit like Coach Garrett here and go with that mantra of I don't compare quarterbacks. He's so early in his career, and I know we're talking about the triplets, and that's a little unfair to those 3 as well, because remember, Troy, Emmett, Michael, all Hall of Famers. These guys are kind of just carving out their career as the triplets for the Cowboys. But the thing that's been most impressive, and this is going to sound a little odd, I'll never forget the day in training camp when Tony Romo sat out of practice, not due to injury, and Dak took over the first team. Kellen Moore was hurt, and I was just saying, how would he react? And to a coach, talked to Coach Scott Linehan, talked to Jason Garrett, they were all impressed with just how he handled practice. I was waiting for practice to kind of fall apart a little bit with this rookie out there. That didn't happen. I know it sounds trivial, but it was just the start of his progression of literally taking a leap over every hurdle that he encountered.
When was the moment that you saw or said, man, Dallas has something special with Dak?
You know, I think it was during a practice. They had to run a 2-minute drill, as I remember, and he went in there and drove them right down the field like he'd been doing this his entire life. And I would love to go back to the training camp days early and have everybody that said Jamil Showers was playing better than Dak Prescott to hold their hand up in the air and said, yeah, I kind of messed that one up. Because actually early in practice, it wasn't just practice, it was like, okay, Showers seems to be a little bit more accurate. Well, he at least knew the offense a little bit better. But when they got into competitive situations, 11 on 11, Dak Prescott shined, and I think we've seen that ever since.
We've gone this long without mentioning Tony Romo. That honestly says a lot. But as we've seen in Oakland and Tennessee, you are one play away from needing a really good backup. Is this the best luxury in football?
It's the most expensive luxury.
Say the same thing, yeah.
I will tell you this, Wes. Mickey, I went to Jerry Jones on the sideline when Tony came back, and I said, Jerry, I was a backup quarterback. I wasn't making $20 million a year. What happened to the escalation here? He said, babe, you're not Tony Romo. But, yeah, it's a great luxury to have, is it not, Mickey?
Oh, absolutely. And just have somebody that, you know, and really when you look at the money, it's reversed, right? Your backup's making all the money. Your starter's making very little money as a rookie. But, yeah, to have somebody that's just some Jim Bob off the fence that has to come in and bail you out, yeah, this is a great luxury. And that's why I think going forward, and maybe in this last game, they're a little hesitant to say, well, do we throw, you know, it's like we don't want Dak hurt, but don't want Tony hurt either. So who knows? It might have to be Mark Sanchez.
Yeah.
Coming up, we have more on Dallas's record-breaking season. We'll take a look at another dynamic rookie. Getting hungry? We're going to feed Ezekiel Elliott next.
Welcome back to this Silver Star Nation special.
We've talked about Dak Prescott, but there's another Cowboy rookie that's making a name for himself. Ezekiel Elliott has rushed over for more than 1,500 yards this season, breaking the Cowboys' rookie rushing record, and now he's within shouting distance of the NFL rookie rushing record. Our Cowboys insiders, Babe and Mickey, rejoining us from the Star. Guys, Zeke is probably one of the most dynamic running backs in the league this year. Mickey, are there any critics left out there about Dallas drafting Elliott number 4 overall?
No, I would think all those critics head for the hills after he got going about the third, fourth game of the season. And, you know, what I always like to point out, and I said this from the beginning when they drafted him, it's not about gaining yards. It's about running the football into the end zone. And already he's got 15 rushing touchdowns. And it's hard to believe, but if you think back to last year, as a team, the Cowboys had 8 rushing touchdowns. So the key to me is with this guy, unlike other running backs the Cowboys have had in the last couple of years, when you hand him the ball, he's a threat to go to the house every time, as we saw in this past game against Detroit when he takes a simple handoff and ends up going 55 yards for a touchdown. I don't know about his speed, but all I know is it sort of reminds me of Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith was knocked for his speed, right? But I never saw anybody catch Emmitt from behind. And I still haven't seen anybody catch Ezekiel Elliott from behind.
Babe, what does that mean for the rest of the offense when you have a running back that can score, as Mickey's talking about, anytime he touches the ball?
He's just such a versatile player, too, Wes. Third down, you give him the ball. First down, you give him the ball. You can throw him the ball. It's been well documented. He's about as good a pass blocker for a young player as I've seen. And you just don't see 21-year-old kids coming into the NFL game and becoming the pass blocker that he was. And I remember Jason Garrett saying of Urban Meyer, the head coach at Ohio State, this kid is the best player I've seen without the ball in his hand. And at first you kind of scratch your head and you say, wait a minute, he's a running back. You want the guy with the ball in his hand, but you see what he does. And the other thing is his football intelligence is astronomical for a 21-year-old rookie because he will see things in the offensive line. He may have a guy on the outside, see a offensive lineman take his guy. He knows who that offensive lineman should be blocking. He adjusts, and the play goes on. So he's been remarkable.
Russ, one of the things I think you remember me telling you was when they took him with the 4th pick, it wasn't just taking a running back. This was the running back, and so far that's proved accurate.
But in fairness, everybody else that took a top 5 pick, whether it was Trent Richardson from Cleveland or Darren McFadden at Oakland at number 4 or 3, they all thought they were getting a special guy too.
Well, you got to stay healthy.
Hey, any concerns of this rookie hitting that rookie wall? Have you seen anything like that?
Well, I sure haven't seen anything physically hitting the wall, and he certainly hasn't hit it mentally. He seems to be having more fun now than he did early in the season, and nothing seems to bother him. Now, they backed off in that Detroit game and kind of gave him a break in the 4th quarter, used Darren McFadden a whole lot more, but that's the only concession I've seen, so no. He's far past any rookie wall. He's so energized. You just need to be around this guy. It's like he's bouncing off the walls constantly. He's like that young son that you had that you just couldn't sit still. Kind of reminded me of myself.
The other part of that too, Wes, I think what's changed a little bit is the college game. You know, Ohio State's going to play 15 games this year most likely. Alabama, those schools. In the past, you might have 10, 11 games as a college player, and then you have that 16-game schedule. And remember, Zeke didn't play at all in the preseason, played 10 snaps against Seattle, and that was it. So I think that rookie wall is kind of a little bit overstated now.
And he's 21 years old. Yeah. Come on.
Babe, take us inside the locker room. When you have a guy like Zeke and that personality that we were just talking about, and then throw in Dak and his personality, what does that mean in the locker room?
I just think it's energized some of the guys, especially some of the older players, guys like Jason Witten, veteran players. I don't like to use the word older players, and if Witten was here, he might take offense to that. But you can just tell Jason Witten, he's talked about, he's energized by these two kids. And Zeke, in a word, is goofy. I mean, he's a goofy guy. Dak can't afford to be goofy. He's a quarterback. But they just mesh well. They're great friends, Dak and Zeke. And again, I think they've just rallied this whole team. And so unusual, Mickey, for a 23-year-old quarterback like Dak Prescott to come in and kind of command a football team like this. And I was here when Troy Aikman was a rookie, as were you. I was playing, you were reporting. And Troy said he felt uncomfortable. Tom Rafferty was about a 13, 14-year veteran at center. And he's like, what am I going to, I'm going to yell at Tom Rafferty as a rookie? Dak seems to have really commanded his presence and this locker room.
Yeah, I don't think Troy at that stage of his career was yelling at anybody. And Dak's pulled over Dez, tell him to calm down. And, you know, Zeke, you need to be in the locker room, Wes, and see this. When you see Witten doing a mass interview and Zeke comes walking by and he goes, there's old man Witt talking to the media, you know, and it's just comical, but it's endearing, and you know, you saw Witten just trying to act, I mean, he's acting like he's 22 years old again. Even on the plane rides home, when those guys are goofing in the back, there goes Witten to join them. So they've carried him along. Yeah.
Great stuff, guys. There's still plenty to come on this Silver Star Nation special report. It seems like all the Cowboys are throwing up the X these days. We'll focus on the man who started it all. We talk Dez Bryant and what he brings to the Cowboys offense next.
Welcome back to this Silver Star Nation special.
Dak and Dez Bryant have a pretty good connection. Dez throwing up the X 8 times after he scores, 9 if you count the touchdown pass. Babe and Mickey joining us from the Star in Frisco. You know, guys, Dez isn't putting up career highs, but Mickey, it sure looks like he's pretty happy on and off the field.
He's very, very comfortable in his own skin these days. And, you know, you mentioned he's not putting up great numbers, but here's the deal. It's not the quantity, it's the quality of the catches, the quality of the plays he's making. He's scoring touchdowns, and you mentioned 8. He's already got 8 touchdowns. That's 67 for his career. Only Bob Hayes has more receiving touchdowns in franchise history. So that kind of shows you what he does and what he means to this team, because just look at the Detroit game, the 2 catches he made. Normal wide receivers don't make those plays. Dez is different. So I try to tell folks, let's not worry about the number of catches, just when they happen and how they affect games. And he's really done that here, especially on a streak now over this last month or so.
Surprised. I didn't realize he was so close to the career touchdown for the Cowboys reception leader. So that's a very startling number right there. Babe, you can't have triplets without a very good receiver. They all kind of work off each other. What does the threat of Dez bring to this offense?
Well, that's a great point, Wes, because it is the threat of Dez, because this isn't a throwing team the way a Green Bay is or Atlanta or something. It's a running team, play action, bootleg, and then get it to Dez occasionally, a little more than occasionally from time to time. But, yeah, the numbers are down. But, again, it's not a passing team. Matter of fact, for a long period of time this season, the Cowboys the only team in the NFL that had run the ball more than they had thrown it. They're right at about 50-50 right now. So when this offense operates best with Dak Prescott at quarterback, it's a lot of inside stuff, a lot of stuff between the numbers, the bootlegs. So the ball doesn't go outside as much as some of the other teams. But, again, as Mickey says, just the threat of Dez Bryant out there is enough that if you want to not play him honest in the passing game, he can hurt you.
Mickey, Dez is the old man out of the Triplets, 7th season in the league. How have you seen him change in his career?
You know, he seems more calm. He seems more at ease. And we talked about it. Yes.
You call that calm?
Absolutely. You don't see him ranting,
comparatively
raving on the sideline like he used to. You know, and I asked him that question about a month ago. And I said, you just seem so at ease, so understanding of what's going on with the offense, how the whole team is meshing. And he said, you know, he goes, after my father died, he goes, for some reason, this calm came over me. Like I was just more relaxed and I was more accepting of things that were happening. And I think it helps when he sees young guys playing almost to his level already as rookies. And he sees what the team means. And I think this whole thing to him is, I don't have to carry this whole thing like I thought I had to before. I've got teammates that we can mesh here and everything's good. And you know, the best thing, Babe, is no longer do I have to hear after every game someone asks Dez, hey, did you get enough touches? Did you get enough targets? It's the most annoying question I think you could ever have, and that always stirred the pot, it seemed like. It was a leftover from Terrell Owens being here. Did you get targeted enough? Did you catch enough balls? You know, don't worry about it as long as you're scoring 42 points.
Jason Garrett, Cowboys head coach, always like to say line one about a lot of things. I think line one for Dez Bryant West is he wants to win. He really does. He doesn't care about his numbers. There's a lot of guys that say publicly, hey, all I want to do is win, and then they come in and they gripe privately about not getting the ball either in the running game or the passing game. Dez Bryant wins, he's fine.
Babe, I know you don't like to do it, but I'm going to ask you, can you compare Dez, Michael, Irvin? What are some of their similarities?
I can give you the similarities. That's good. And I don't want to offend Michael because I still see Michael from time to time. But both big physical receivers, both get their separation at the point when the ball's thrown. It's funny, I used to always talk about Michael Irvin, and he'd run that 17-yard comeback on the outside that we saw time and time again. And that DB for 16 yards says, I've got him covered. I'm on him. And then right at the point where he comes out of the break, Irvin shakes loose, Aikman gets the ball there. Dez has a little bit of that as well. Just a big physical guy. You can cover Dez. You know, quickness is not his game. He's not an Odell Beckham Jr. type of guy who's just going to be quick and run away from you. Or even we see here Cole Beasley. His game is at the point where the ball is thrown, that's when he gets his separation.
Well, Michael will agree with this, and I've heard him say that. Dez is maybe the most athletic wide receiver the Cowboys have ever had. And I know everybody's going, whoa, Bob Hayes. Bob Hayes might have been the fastest, but he didn't have the athletic ability that this kid has to go up, high point the ball, and catch it. That's difficult. You go 50 yards down the field and try tracking that ball that's coming at you. That's not easy, and he does it so naturally. Michael Irvin will tell you, he physically gifted much more than Michael was, probably more than Drew was also. And the neat thing is when we did this interview here with the 88s, and they all talked about how Michael needed to do better than Drew to carry on the tradition, and then Dez needed to do better than Michael to carry on the transition, and that's what's happened so far.
Wow.
Who gets the next 88?
Right?
That's what I say. I can't wait to see the next one. That's going to be awesome. A few final thoughts about the Cowboys, the Triplets, and much more when we come back.
Welcome back to this Silver Star Nation special.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Wes Moore, Babe Loffenberg, and Mickey Spagnola. Join me from the Star in Frisco. Guys, we focused on Dak, Zeke, and Dez, but it takes an entire team to win 13 out of 15 games. Babe, very easily, Dallas could have had the quadruplets. Quarterbacks love their tight ends. Troy had a great one, and Dak has a great one. What do the tight ends mean to this offense?
Boy, it's big in this offense because, again, we talked about the running game and the play action, and that involves your tight end quite a bit. The thing about Jason Witten, West, that really stands out to me, he's a coach's dream because here's all you have to do to the rest of the guys. Zeke comes in here. Dak comes in. Name the player. All you have to do, you don't have to talk to him a whole lot. You just say, see 82 over there? Do what he does. Practice like he does. Prepare like he does. Work like he does. Act like he does. And a lot of guys really are feeding on that. I was out at a restaurant very quickly, and I see Mickey. There's a group of them out there. I don't bother them. But Jason Witten has Zeke Elliott, and it was 30 minutes of face to face, nobody moved. There's 10 people at the table, and these two, and you could just see Zeke listening and Jason Witten imparting words of wisdom. Don't know what they were, and I never asked him, but you could just see Zeke was locked in.
Babe, thanks. Mickey, thank you. That's going to do it for the Silver Star Nation Special Report. But the good news is we'll be back next week. We'll see you then.